And yes, we already know a lot of this stuff, but listen to how he says this. This is utter tyranny. This is why what you're going to hear Cuomo say is why the Declaration of Independence was written. Well, I don't know. Maybe while he's talking here, I'll pull up the Declaration of Independence and show you what part that I'm actually talking about, because I got to be real careful here. If this goes on certain platforms, it can get taken down real quick. So I'm going to speak in code, but you're going to get the message. Listen to this.
Enforcement is enforcement. I've said this to you. I have this conversation with local officials all day long.
Let me back up, because I think
the agreement.
Here we go.
Enforcement.
Okay, here we go.
That's condition one. I'm going to meet with members of the ultra-Orthodox community tomorrow. I want to have that conversation directly myself. This cannot happen again. If you do not agree to enforce the rules, then we'll close the institutions down.
And he is talking about religious institutions. You talk about a blatant, on-camera, in broad daylight trampling of the First Amendment. He's literally saying religious institutions and higher learning institutions, any kind of learning institution, but specifically religious institutions. If you don't comply with my edict, we are shutting you down, and they're going to do it by force. Brian, this is nothing new. Yeah, this needs to stay new and afresh in our minds, guys. Or we're going to be complacent, we're going to be indifferent, apathetic, and we're not going to do anything about it.
I am prepared to do that. Second, after we receive the agreement, an agreement is only as good as the enforcement. We have to have real enforcement in these clusters and the other.
Let me just highlight a word within the word enforcement: enforcement. Force. That's why George Washington said, government is not eloquence, it's not reason, it is force. And like fire, it's a dangerous servant and a fearful master. Force. We're talking about real enforcement. If you don't comply with my edict, it will be enforced upon you. We will close your institution down. We will close your church down. We will lock the doors, and there's nothing you can do about it, because that's Tyrant Cuomo.
Statewide clusters. The enforcement will help the community. If the rule is no more than 50% of the people in a black church, I want someone at that door when 50% enter the church, a person there who says to the pastor, you agreed to follow the rules, that's 50%, that's it, or we close it down. It does not work without enforcement.
You couldn't get any more clear than that, guys. Could not get any more clear than that. That's what he wants. That's his enforcement. Hey, Cuomo, there's an amendment in the Bill of Rights in the Constitution that you put your left hand on a Bible and raise your right hand toward heaven to swear to uphold, protect, and defend. And you just violated it. You just violated it. Let me just refresh your memory on the Declaration of Independence, the springboard for the actual freaking Constitution. The springboard. When in the course of human offense, it becomes necessary for one people to dissolve the political bands which have connected them with another, and to assume among the powers of the earth a separate and equal station which the laws of nature and of nature's God entitle them. We're talking about natural law, guys. What Cuomo just said is a violation of natural law. It's not even so much a violation of the Constitution or the Bill of Rights. What is that? It's a violation of natural law. It's this man right here saying that he has a higher claim over the life and property of other men, to the point where he can close down a religious institution. Oh, and how they justify it's always under the guise of safety. We're here to keep you safe. How dare you not allow me to keep you safe? Oh, you're not going to allow me to keep you safe? Well, guess what? We're going to put your life at risk now. We're going to close off, we're going to take away every one of your freedoms. And if you resist, then we have the right to use force up to and including ending your life if you continue to resist. That's how that's why I'm calling them psychopaths. If you display yourself as a psychopath, if you walk as a psychopath and talk as a psychopath, guess what you are? It's not this. It truly isn't rocket science. A decent respect to the opinions of mankind requires that they should declare the causes which impelled them to the separation. And that's what this is, that they should declare. This is the declaration of independence. Who are they declaring independence from? From a king and a country and a bunch of people who are following the king who believe they have a higher claim over the life and property of you. And they're like, hey, we just want to get away from you. We just want to live free. There's a sliver of land over there. You guys stay on your side. We'll stay on our side. We'll do our thing. You do your thing. Goodbye. We're dissolving the political bands that have connected us with another. We hold these truths to be self-evident, that all men are created equal, that they are endowed by their creator with certain, what are they? Unalienable rights. Well, guess what Chris Cuomo just called it here? They're alienable. In other words, I can separate, I can take away your rights and I can give you rights because I'm the governor of New York. Listen to some more psychopathy here.
But both of those conditions have to be in place. And if I do not have the agreement from the religious community directly as a starting point.
Oh yeah, if you don't have compliance, basically, okay, what Governor Cuomo? Chris Cuomo's brother from CNN. This is Chris Cuomo's brother. If I don't have compliance, what's your threat? What's your threat, Andrew?
Then we will close down the religious institutions.
What if we resist?
If they do agree to do it in partnership, then I want a real enforcement capacity. We're not going to make the same mistake twice.
Guys, wait, it gets worse. It gets worse. I just happened to tune in on this live stream as he was talking. Listen to this. I mean, if our jaws aren't continuing to drop, we really need to check for a pulse. Brian, I know. They want to exact tyranny. It should be like, yeah, God. What are these people trying to do to us? And you know what makes it worse? It's not even so much that you have a monarch sitting there, and that's what he's acting in the capacity of, a monarch. He's sitting there in New York saying that you do this, you're fine. If you don't do what I tell you to do, well, guess what? There are going to be some major repercussions, buddy. This should, every time we hear it, make our blood boil afresh, brand new, like we've never heard it before. That's the only way we're going to get through this thing, because the bad part is not so much he's issuing commands and edicts. It's that all the sheep are going, yeah, we need to be kept safe. Thank you, Andrew Cuomo, for keeping us safe. Thank you for making sure that you're instituting tyrannical laws and taking away our rights because it's for the greater good. We want to do good for people, so we're going to wear our ritualistic shame muzzles to show people how virtuous and noble we are because we're protecting our fellow humans. And we shall certainly look down on everybody who doesn't do what we do. Take your test, wear your mask, social distance, submit to contact tracing. Because Andrew Cuomo says, and he loves us and he wants to keep us safe. That's our biggest danger, are not the tyrants who issue edicts. It's the slaves who follow those edicts. That's our danger.
Tomorrow I'm going to meet with the larger congregations.
Listen to this.
New
It
York
gets
City,
worse, guys.
Rockland, Orange, Nassau, and have that conversation. That's step one. If we get past step one, then we need enforcement in place.
We need enforcement in place. We need to issue edicts that go against your will and violate your consent. We are going against the First Amendment. I don't care what you say. We got to keep you safe. So we got to trash the Constitution. There's no clause in the Bill of Rights that says these are all enacted unless there's this strange, scary, invisible enemy in the streets. And, you can always trust the government to tell you the God's honest truth, right?
Enforcement is enforcement.
Here, listen to this.
I've said this to you. I have this conversation with the local officials all day long. Well, we issue warnings. That's not enforcement. Well, we do public education. That's not enforcement.
Enforcement.
There is no person in the state of New York who needs you to tell them at this point you must wear a mask. They know they must wear a mask. There was no need for public education. Find me the person who says, I never heard that.
Listen.
Really? You have to wear a mask? I never heard it. Find me the person in the state who says that. Enforcement is enforcement, okay?
You know what he just said there? If you're not wearing a mask in the state of New York, I don't care where you are. You know better. We've already put out the public service announcements. We've already issued the edicts. We've put them on billboards. I've been sitting, and Andrew Cuomo saying, basically, I've sat here every day and told you what you need to do. There's no ignorance here. You know you need to wear a mask. Are you walking on the street? Wear a mask. Are you in a church? Wear a mask. Are you in a grocery store? Wear a mask. You know what you're supposed to do, sheep. Now comply. If you're not wearing a mask, here's the next step. Enforcement. And he means what he says here.
New York City only did 26 enforcement actions. Enforcement is, here's a violation. New York City deployed 1,000 people for days, 3 days. 1,000 people for 3 days is what? Is 24,000 personnel hours. 24,000 personnel hours, you only did 26 enforcement actions? That's not enforcement.
He's saying 26 enforcement actions in the state of New York, that's not enough. We know we got a lot of people out there not complying, and we need to bring them to heel.
We have to be more aggressive. I understand that it's impolitic. I understand the sensitivity in the community now, but I also understand you will see people die if we don't do more enforcement.
If you don't let us violate your rights, people are going to die. That's all. That is, guys, that's why William Pitt the Younger said what he said. Necessity is the plea for every infringement of human freedoms. He's saying it's necessary for us to keep you safe. So we have to violate your freedoms in order to do that. Don't you understand that? Necessity is the plea for every infringement of human freedoms. It's the argument of tyrants like Cuomo. This is what he's arguing here. This is the argument of tyrants. We have to keep you safe, therefore you have to relinquish your rights. And it's the creed of slaves. Yes, we have to give up our rights so that they can keep us safe. It's psychopathy on a massive scale. Every day of the week, 24 hours a day, nonstop. Now,